Welcome back to the Daily Brief, and of course getting right into it and taking you through the news diary, where the Precious Talent Academy school tragedy remains top of our news diary this morning, and a task force formed to probe the collapse of the school structure killing 8 pupils kicks off its work this morning. We will be following up on the state of pupils still admitted in hospital with various injuries. Owners and managers of the school in Dagoretti will also be arraigned today.
Now, the family of murdered Dutch tycoon, that is Tob Cohen, is today expected to proceed with his burial, which was postponed yesterday. His lawyers told journalists that the final rites had been put off due to lack of enough Jewish priests to conduct the ceremony. The courts had allowed his detained widow, Sarah, to attend yesterday's ceremony. Her lawyers will seek fresh orders to allow her to be present at the interment.
And hearing in the public divorce case pitting Meru Senator Mithika Linturi and Marianne Kitani continues this morning before Chief Magistrate Peter Gesora. The case had taken a break following the death of Linturi's father, who was buried last week. Key witnesses are expected to testify.
Still within the corridors of justice, a pre-trial session will be held today for directors of Keroche Industries who are accused of tax evasion. The matter will be before Chief Magistrate Martha Mutuko, and Keroche and its directors are accused of failing to remit taxes totaling 14.5 billion shillings between 2015 and this year.
And the 74th session of the UN General Assembly continues at the UN headquarters in New York with 193 countries represented. The general debate of the General Assembly opens today at 9 a.m. New York time, which will be 4 p.m. in Nairobi. This year's theme is galvanizing multilateral efforts for poverty eradication, quality education, climate action and inclusion. President Kenyatta is expected to address the Assembly on Wednesday. And of course, those are the top stories that we will be looking at. It's making the news diary of the day today, and you will definitely be seeing more on those stories later on in our subsequent bulletins.
Hashtag K24 Daily Brief at K24 TV, at Shiksha Aurora, at Sam at W Njoroge. Use those platforms online as well as our SMS platform. That's 21222.
Of course, so we will keep interacting with you as well as our correspondents who are based in the respective counties who will also be telling us what is happening on their end. So of course, all that and much more is what you will be seeing right here on the Daily Brief.
Right, we've had a brief from Kisumu, Mombasa, Nakuru, and of course the Kenyatta National Hospital. So expect much more from this show today.
And of course, we will be giving you the latest with regard to what's happening locally. And Nairobi County Government says it will cater for funeral expenses of the 8 pupils who died after a school structure collapsed at Precious Talent Academy in Dagoretti.
Governor Sonko says the money will come from a special emergency kitty.
And following the tragedy, Sonko has been forced to cut short his trip to the US, where he was attending the UN General Assembly in New York.
He says county inspectorate officials who approved the building will be fired.
And of course, that is one of the top stories when it comes to local news updates, Samuel.
Health officials have intensified Ebola screening for travelers at the Isabania border post in Migori after possible cases were reported in Tanzania.
Now on Monday, a disease surveillance team manning the one-spot border point said they were on high alert following a report by the World Health Organization.
The screening exercise has, however, been hampered by a high number of travelers.
And last Sunday, WHO issued an unusual statement raising questions on whether or not Tanzania is covering up possible cases of the deadly hemorrhagic fever.
That's true. Quite a development right there. Now, President Kenyatta yesterday addressed a high-level meeting on universal health coverage on the sidelines of the ongoing UN General Assembly in New York.
And of course, he told the gathering that his government is rolling a UHC pilot phase targeting 3.2 million people.
He said the pilot phase, now in its 9th month, is focused on strengthening primary health care as well as identifying best practices, lessons and gaps.
The president shared lessons from the pilot with world leaders attending the forum.
Still a top story as far as news coverage is concerned, the ongoing United Nations General Assembly. Now, families who lost relatives in a fatal Boeing 737 MAX air crashes are yet to receive about $144,500,000 equivalent to 15 million Kenya shillings each from the company.
The money comes from a $50 million financial assistance fund, which Boeing announced in July.
The fund has started accepting claims which must be submitted before 2020.
Lawyers for the victims' families, many of whom are pursuing the company in court, have, however, dismissed the fund as a publicity stunt.
The 737 MAX has been grounded since March as investigators evaluate the airplane's safety following fatal crashes in Indonesia and Ethiopia, which claimed the lives of more than 340 people.
Of course, that is one of the top stories of the day. And moving on, Russia could face a ban from all major sports events over discrepancies in a lab database, according to the World Anti-Doping Agency.
The country has been given 3 weeks to explain inconsistencies or risk being excluded from the Olympics and World Championships.
And Russia also faces being barred from hosting major events.
Russia has handed over data from its Moscow laboratory in January as a condition of its reintegration back into the sporting fold after a 3-year suspension for a state-sponsored doping program.
But on Monday, WADA said a formal compliance procedure had been opened over the discovery of inconsistencies. And of course, we're definitely going to be giving you more details with regards to what is happening on the international front, where Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu and his main opponent, of course, have been undergoing meetings, and this is with regards to what has been happening.
That's true. They called for a snap election.
Indeed.
And neither party, that is neither Gantz nor Netanyahu, could gather the necessary majority that is required to form government. So there has been talk between these two leaders, but now the main area of contention is who exactly becomes a prime minister. Is it Netanyahu or is it Gantz? And of course, this story has been developing for the better part of this month after Prime Minister, that is Benjamin Netanyahu, called for a snap election.
And Rivlin was speaking after hosting a meeting for the two rivals.
Of course, in the course of mediation, but
Right.
no details of the talks have been made public, but a joint statement said that chief negotiators for the two main parties would meet on Tuesday.
And last week's general election, the second this year, ended in deadlock.
You know, President Rivlin has recommended a pact between Gantz Blue and White Alliance, which won 33 seats, and Netanyahu's Likud party, which won 31.
Right, of course, so that is what is making headlines on the international front. So we're definitely going to be giving you more details on that later on in the show. For now, we're taking you back home where we have been covering the Precious Talent School incident that happened yesterday, the tragedy that really just caught the nation off guard. And of course, we're going to be giving you more details from our reporters firsthand.
And here is Victor Olo, who's joining us live from City Mortuary with an update on what we can expect from that end today. Victor?
Absolutely. It's just a day after the tragic incident that happened barely 24 hours ago at the Precious Talent Academy in Dagoretti in Nairobi County here, where 7 pupils lost their lives after a classroom came down tumbling. Now, here at the City Mortuary, we have established that post-mortem was done yesterday and parents will be allowed to come today and take the report. Thereafter, they will be given that permission to take their body, whoever is willing to take their bodies of their bereaved or their late pupils, to take their body to their preferred facilities for preservation. Here at the mortuary, we are still informed that the bodies, none was picked as at yesterday. And today, most of the parents who lost their children will be coming here anytime from now to pick their children and take them to their preferred facility. Now, the report, some of the reports that were according to as per the postmortem, we are not yet able to establish some of the causes of the deaths of the students, as that is just some of the confidential information that is only is preserved to the parents here. And in the next few minutes, we have been waiting for a parent. Yesterday, remember, at the Shiroma Mortuary, there is a parent who brought his child at the Shiroma Mortuary, and later on told to bring the body here at the City Mortuary for the post-mortem to be conducted first of all before the body could be transferred to another facility. He has told us that they are just trying to cope up. At the end of the day, he's called Bishop. He's a bishop, actually, and he's just trying to say that this is just a form of an accident that happened, and therefore they're trying to come to terms by slowly to accept the situation, whatever happened yesterday. Much as they're not trying to blame anyone on what happened, they're trying to cope up and accept that this has happened. So they're on their way here to collect the bodies. All the 7 pupils who were brought here for the post-mortem, we are informed that their bodies are still here, and the parents will be allowed later on in the day, after getting the post-mortem report, to pick the bodies of their loved ones to their preferred mortuary preservation and for subsequent burial arrangements. Here at the mortuary, there is nothing, actually there's no very little activity happening here. Most of the people who have come here either to come and pick their bodies or just to confirm whether their loved ones are kept here. So we are going to keep fort here, Samuel, to keep just to try to check what is happening in the course of the day, because it's still a developing story. Because once 7 pupils lost their lives, it was a national matter. Remember, Deputy President William Ruto also talked about it. CS George Magoha also talked about it, and even President Uhuru Kenyatta also sent a press statement sending his messages of condolence. Now, losing pupils 7 in the morning is not just a mean feat, and of course it's something that is going to continue raising a lot of concern on just how safe our students or our pupils are in school, and even the level of construction that is being undertaken by this kind of schools. Remember, even Governor Mike Sonko yesterday said that he realized there was a rot in the city planning, Nairobi County City Planning Department, where some of the officers had been fired because they were trying to bypass some of the systems so that the legal or the due process of planning and approving this city planning and housing planning in the city is bypassed. So Governor Sonko said that the affected individuals had been fired, and therefore he's going to make necessary changes in the department to ensure that each and every building that is being undertaken in the city is properly approved by the relevant department and bodies. This is just a matter of some of the cases that we have seen. Many buildings came down in Nairobi, and therefore the government also took drastic measures to ensure that such cases never occur. This is just part of the statistics, and therefore the government continues to say they are going to put their best foot forward to ensure that nothing of such a kind happens. Remember, government CS George Magoha also said that the school is closed for the next 4 days to give room for more the children to recover from the trauma, and as well as give relevant authorities to conduct the investigation until the end of this week. And should they find anything not so proper, then appropriate action will also be taken. So the better part of this week, the pupils will be out of school, and come next week, they are going to get the report whether they are going to resume operations or they are going to get an alternative solution. But remember, CS Magoha said that the school is duly registered and licensed to operate.
Victor Olo, thank you so much. However, just a quick question to you. Do you expect any kind of an address or, information coming from the Office of the Chief Government Pathologist and as far as this developing story is concerned?
Absolutely. It's quite important to have such kind of information, because when you have got 7 pupils here, that's a national concern. Remember, if the president has talked about it, deputy president talked about it, and the CS Education also talked about it, that it's a matter of national concern. These are school-going children, and whatever happened just had to attract the attention of all the relevant bodies. And therefore, we expect later on in the day to get a detailed report from the government chief pathologist, or even the relevant people here at the facility, to give us an update so that we can dispel all these kind of rumors that might go around mailing, and probably to calm down the temperatures and even the souls and the spirits of the parents who lost their loved ones. It's quite important, and then probably later on in the day, the post-mortem report of the 7 pupils will be given here. As and when that will happen, of course, you know how we do it. We will tell our viewers exactly how it happens. Samuel?
Thank you so much, Victor Olo, for that story live from the city mortuary. It will be important to hear what the chief government pathologist says, because post-mortem is expected to be conducted on all the 7 bodies. So if not him, that is Dr. Johansson Odwor, then someone from his office to just tell us more that could come forth in as far as this issue or angle to this story is concerned. Post-mortem has to be performed before the bodies are released to the family. So definitely something that you can look forward to right here at K24 TV.
Now remember, we're also going to be based in Dagoretti and just getting a feel of what is happening on ground, if the rubble and debris have managed to get cleared up or not yet. And of course, if rescue teams are still on ground trying to just facilitate the clearing up process and make sure that it is, conducted well. And of course, the security was also there at the area. Residents were also making sure that they are part of the entire process, and we had a lot of onlookers yesterday as well. So today we will be going to the scene and just monitor how exactly things are today, if they are any different from yesterday, and of course to be getting all those details right here with our reporter Dennis Matara, who is on ground, and he will be giving us those details in just a bit.
Absolutely. Remember, yesterday we saw the presence of forensic experts from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, because Precious Talent School remains marked as a crime scene as of now, because we saw them map out the area and even tape around and indicate that investigations will have to be conducted so that the real cause behind yesterday's incident can be established. And we saw a lot of mapping happening courtesy of the presence of forensic experts from the DCI. So we will also be getting to understand whether there are any developments in as far as that particular issue is concerned. And we've got Dennis Matara, our reporter, who went back to Precious Talent School in Gando Ward, Dagoretti South constituency, and now joins us live with an update from that venue. Matara?
Njoroge, the area is still cordoned off under tight security. Of course, it's still a crime scene. The fact that, yes, you said that the detectives, the forensic experts were here yesterday just to collect a few details on what exactly transpires from this place. But right now everything is calm. But on one side, of course, we had a few students who were here trying to check through the rubble to collect some of their books that were strewn all over this area. And of course, on one side, we still have all the material that was collected from that structure, because we understand that the building was a semi-permanent building that was halfway made of iron sheets, and of course a stone wall from the ground floor. And where you're seeing right on the ground, it is the exact location where there was that particular class. It was about 4 classrooms that collapsed, because there was a slab that collapsed on top of another class. And of course we are told that several learners of course survived because of the desks that held the slab that was on that one side. Right now, of course, yesterday the CS Education ordered the closure of the school for the next 4 days to allow for investigation. So probably that is the reason why you're not seeing any activities going on right now. Probably there are a section of classes that are still remaining on this other side, which are still standing, and they could have been used, but because of that order, these classes remain of course deserted for now. They are not in use. But if it were that, according to the CS yesterday, he said that these classes are still stable, they could be used, but because of the incident yesterday, they ordered all of them to be closed to allow for further investigations. Now on one side, you could be if we're able to see, there are some teachers actually who have come here. They woke up and came into this place, of course, just to take stock of what happened. We'll be walking to them shortly and maybe talk to some of them just to tell us exactly what happened. But at the same time, of course, based on the information that we received from this location yesterday, is that, of course, 7 students died from this particular area. Now, that is why this area will still be considered a crime scene. Maybe you just walk with me to one side where these teachers are. They are taking stock and, of course, checking records, checking on. They had collected some of the documents that were here, that were strewn all over this particular area. So what exactly they were doing, because there were some files there, of course, there are learners' records that were this particular area, and they are important documents that can be used. So that is why they came over here, just to ensure that they collect some of these documents. They'll just call on closer here to kindly, maybe you can step over to speak to us. These are some of the teachers who are here, and you can see actually they had come here, had a bonfire. Maybe they will be telling us exactly if you spent the night here, what exactly was happening, and why here. Maybe tell us your name and exactly what is happening right now.
Okay, I'm Benedict. I'm a teacher here. Right now, we really, what happened yesterday is known all over. Now we have just come this early morning to see maybe those that maybe there are things that got lost.
Yes.
Yeah, and we have also come together as teachers to talk about what we saw yesterday, so that we console each other and we see a way forward, and also to console our learners that could be available here, and plus the parents that are around also. Yeah.
Maybe you tell us exactly, did you spend the night here? Because I'm seeing a bonfire here that you're having, and what has been happening all through the night to now. And have you received maybe some of the parents who are still knowing that actually ran away when the accident happened?
Now we spend here night. That's why you can see at the back there is somehow fire that was used at night. And then yesterday, no, for now we have not received any information for the lost pupils. They are all available, and they are safe to the hands of the parents. Even those who went to the hostel, the parents received them, and they are all safe. Yeah.
Maybe also tell us, of course, just a recap of maybe the time that you've been closed here. Did you at any point probably feel that this class could have collapsed based on the construction?
No, at all. This building not show any sign of collapsing. Yeah. it didn't. Yeah.
I can see maybe your colleague here, maybe as your name, sir, and maybe I can see a list that you're having here. What exactly are you having?
My name is Sami Ndege. I'm a teacher in the upper classes. And the list is the pupils. These are like class 5. The list of all the pupils we expected. We're just trying to get information of our pupils. So we are following up. So these are teachers, and we have gathered to chart our way forward to get information. Some of us lost our phones, so the only way we can come together is we be together, we gather different sources of information.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe just tell me how many classes were affected here, and maybe how many students so far?
The number, I can't be very vague with the number. They were like 11 that were affected.
Okay. All right. And any communication maybe on the way forward, the current students who are not in class right now?
Okay, I think that communication will be made after we have the meet. Those that are bereaved and us our wounds, and also trying to see if we can get some guiding and counseling services, because it was a traumatizing experience. Yeah.
Thank you so much for speaking to teachers who are just giving to gather and bring together parents, also some of the teachers, just to condone with those parents who lost their children from this area, and of course based on the information, there are of course students who've come just to check on their records, checking on some of their books that were lost here. Some of the teachers also lost their phones during the incident, and that is why they're here, just of course to come together and talk about the incident, console each other, and maybe at least that will bring closure on the incident that happened. And of course, maybe Njoroge, if you have any question that we can pass over to that you may also need for us to clarify on the same. Njoroge.
Thank you so much, Dennis Matara, for that update from the Precious Talent School in Dagoretti South constituency. We will still bring in Dennis Matara during the second hour. He will be answering more questions in as far as that particular incident that happened yesterday is concerned. So expect much more from his end in the course of the Daily Brief today.
But for now, it's time for a short break. After the break, we'll be back with lots of things in store for you with regard to our briefing, our coverage, and much more. So don't go anywhere.
Content.
In just a bit.
Right.